Buttons. I don't know how to hit buttons. I hit lots of buttons.
Yeah.
Tap, 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 tap.
You just missed it just before we went live, even though nobody's watching. I hate to say the fun stuff when nobody's watching.
I know.
But Alan was seeing that Jacob's spirit animal. It was a spirit animal?
It's the animal he turns into when he gets angry.
The animal Jacob turns into, Jacob Barr, I'm calling you out, man, is a tiger. And that is hilarious. For the locals who know, they know why. For y'all who don't know, he was the victim of a tragic accident in his youth where he lost a leg to a tiger. So the fact that that's what he turns into, I think Chris said, what do you do, eat your own leg? So, very fun. Some of those weird, wacky Facebook things can sometimes just be very weird and very wacky.
Very weird, very wacky, lots of fun.
Lots of fun. Like we had lots of fun last weekend on our 4th of July celebration, having a water gun fight in the rain.
Yes.
As stupid as that sounds, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
So we had the boys out there, and we were having a water gun fight. We did it until the lightning came, and then we sought cover. But we were actually shooting each other in the rain. Because why wouldn't you?
Why? That's actually the best answer.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Lightning turned out to be the reason why you wouldn't.
Yeah, that's a pretty good reason.
We did go inside for the lightning. Had a couple big trees in my yard, so yeah, we went inside. We got out of it for a little bit, and then we had another one later when we dried up, you know. So we did all the things.
All the things.
All the things. So anyway, we're going to wait just another minute or two here. We're pretty close. And let a few more people join in if we've got anybody. I mean, come on, folks. I know we've lost our moderator for an indefinite amount of time since she's working on Thursdays. So, I don't know. Was everybody just showing up so they could talk to Shirley? Is that what the deal was?
I would.
You're forced to talk to her.
Yeah.
It's legally binding.
It is legally binding.
So anyway, we want to welcome all you guildies back to another exciting extravaganza show, Chatter of the Squirrels. Your media machine has pulled you in at just the right time to match up with hopefully around 45 minutes, give or take, maybe an hour, maybe 40, whatever, you know, of some just enjoyable, hopefully, chatter, because we're a couple squirrels, we like to chatter. So anyway, we're going to be talking a little bit this week. I've been trying to hit some highlights so you know what we're going after. We're going to talk about events in the store real quick, what's going on. We're going to talk a little bit about statues, because we've been having a serious moment to open up every show. So if you don't like the serious moments, bail your ass out.
Yep.
A little bit about Jumpstart. We're going to go over the new stuff because it's coming out next week.
Next week.
We're finally going to get to the Jumpstart stuff that we didn't do with Core 21 because it's a separate thing.
You may have seen a little bit of it if you bought a box of Core 21. You got a couple packs to kind of get a little taste, but we'll go over that, all the new cards that are coming out.
Yeah, we're going to try to hit most of the new cards. We're going to talk a little bit about co-op board games. That's a highlight this week here at the Guild. And at the end, we'll bust some promo packs.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about the future of Magic as well. An article by Mark Rosewater this week that we found very, very interesting.
Yes.
So those are some of the things. We're going to start off with our serious moment. Again, you can bail your ass out. I don't mind saying if you're not into the interesting stuff, but you'll notice the title was Start cooperating on our future.
Yep.
And this is part of it. Educate yourself. I've been forwarding a lot of posts lately that just say educate yourself. When I find something that teaches me something I didn't know, I've been forwarding along. I know that the people who still don't raised in white privilege, you can just jump your ass out now.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get a little stronger language because I'm just getting fed up. If Facebook wants to shut me down, they can shut my ass down. But if you can't handle the word ass, then jump out.
Yeah.
But, man, educate yourself. If you think you already know everything, you probably shouldn't be here unless you're willing to learn. So, read some stuff. Look at some other opinions. Don't go for that confirmation bias every time. Every time. Oh, my gosh. So anyway, statues, what we're going to talk about with statues is, because of the movement that's been going on, there's been a lot of talk about pulling the statues down.
Pulling the statues down. Some of them have been pulled down by force. Some have been taken down by city administrations, the state governments on their own. Depends.
I see a lot of misguided people going, well, they left up, the death camps over in Germany. Well, that's because the Jewish people wanted those left so that people would never forget. But there ain't no statues of Hitler over there.
There are no statues.
He lost the war. We shouldn't have any statues of the Southern generals posted up down there. They lost.
Yes, you do not.
They were at war to keep black people as slaves, and to even try to say that it's anything else, you need to educate yourself.
Yes.
That's what they were at war to do. So they keep growing cotton, making lots of money off the backs of black people.
Yes.
That's what the war was about. It was about cotton and slavery and having lots of money. Most of the North had already banished slavery. So when you're talking about pulling down statues, let's look at the context of those statues.
Right.
We can put some of those in museums. That's fine.
I'm absolutely okay with that.
We need to teach the next generation what happened in the Civil War.
Oh, absolutely.
We just don't need to glorify it.
You can't glorify, and that's the problem with statues to specific people, is you are then glorifying that person. Somebody talked to me about battlefield memorials and stuff, and I'm fine with battlefield memorials that have a list of names from soldiers from both sides. That's just the truth of what happened there.
That's what happened.
But once you create an effigy to a person, you are glorifying that person.
Yes.
And like you said, they were on the wrong side of the war, and they lost. To go along with the statues, maybe just kind of bring up in here, it's kind of the same thing. There are military forts that were named after Confederate generals, and they've been changing that. We don't have forts named after any other enemies, I don't believe.
I don't know. I'd have to do research.
I've looked, and not that I've found. There's not a Fort Cornwallis that I know of, and that would be the one that would seem to make, that's the American Revolution, yada, yada. If there was going to be somebody, that's the first war. I can't seem to find that.
I'm not sure. I will say something that sounds really wrong if I go too far there.
And
I'm not going to go there.
But statues to these people and naming major places after people that were on the wrong side of history, they lost. They were traitors to the country. It just doesn't make any sense to continue that.
No. I do think that I have a little concern in how far this carries on, and hopefully some reason comes about as we carry it back. I don't know. I've seen, and I haven't tracked it down, I've seen anecdotal pieces where they're pulling down George Washington, who did own slaves,
right,
where they've pulled down even statues of famous black Americans.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting some different people mixed up here. We've got people who are just troublemakers.
Yeah.
We've got rioters, and then we've got people who are marching for justice. And so I'd like to keep it on the side of the people that are marching for the justice to get things changed. A society that is very much geared towards white people.
Right.
If you don't believe that, you should bail out now. Go read and educate yourself. But we are, because you're white, you don't realize it. That's what privilege is.
The one of the things with the context of these statues, I believe, is a major part of tearing them down. If you look, especially the statues of Confederate generals, these are not leftover remnants of the Confederacy.
No.
These were built about 50 or 60 years ago, most of them.
During the Civil Rights Movement. When black folks were trying to get what they should have had 100 years before.
Yes.
So
they were not put up to honor.
I shouldn't laugh. It's not actually funny.
They were put up.
Ironic.
Yes, they were put up. Many by daughters of the Confederacy funded many of these in many places, and it was one of the many ways, like the revitalization of. That's when the Confederate flag started being flown a lot again. Was during that same time period. It was an ability to try to scare black people.
Anyway, that's our diatribe on the statues thing. We do have a game-related note that relates into this segment we've been inserting in all our shows now for a while, and that is I read where Scrabble, there is an actual Scrabble organization.
Yes.
For professional Scrabble players.
Scrabblers?
Playing competition.
Yes.
They have outlawed, illegalized, removed
a large
slurs
yes.
from legal plays in their tournaments.
Yes.
You can still use profanity,
yeah.
but not slurs.
Yes.
And we all know what those are without me saying. If you don't know what a slur is, go read.
Yeah.
Be an adult. Okay? I'm not going to say them. So anyway, that is a game-related note we can add in about the whole 9 yards that we picked up this week. So good on Scrabble for doing that.
Yep.
So we're going to move along here.
Which I do believe that comes back to Hasbro again.
Probably.
I believe.
When you're talking that, it's either Hasbro or Mattel or Parker Brothers.
They've got it all.
So anyway, this week we just had our first Commander night. We
Yep.
had 6, I believe it was.
Yeah, we had 2 pods of 3 going.
For Commander nights, and we were using the achievements that I posted up, and so that's going on Thursday nights, free to play.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to 7 achievements, you're going to get a pack of promo cards.
Yep.
We didn't have anybody hit 7 tonight, but Wyatt got to, I think it was 5 or 6.
Yeah, he got
super close.
super close. He was pushing
in one
hard.
game.
He was
Super
pushing
close.
hard. He's like, he said, I'm pulling out my Joda deck because I want those achievements.
Yeah. Well, he hit a bunch of them.
He did.
He did. So we had that tonight. Tomorrow night is F&M, and this week is Standard. So we'll be playing Standard tomorrow night.
Yep.
Then we'll probably get some Commander in afterwards. We generally do.
$5 entry tomorrow, right?
$5 entry for Standard, just like your footlongs.
Yep.
So $5 Friday night
I don't
man.
know if anybody remembers that.
It's back.
Oh, is it? I
Yeah.
guess I haven't caught
It's
that.
back. Oh yeah. So we got that going on, and then let's see. Oh yeah, you can load up your M21 in there.
Yes,
And
M21
start
is standard
shotgunning
legal.
dogs and cats or whatever, you know. So
I know.
I don't know. I missed the let's pull the trigger on fun.
Apparently,
So
no, it's time to build your goblin decks and get those conspicuous snoops to work.
that's a modern card from what I understand.
I know it
That
is,
is
but-
making goblins viable and modern, and I'm super happy for that.
Goblins are awesome.
So yeah, just to back up on Commander Nights, is going all the way through September 17th, I think it is. There's 11 weeks of it, I believe.
Yeah.
So come out, play some Commander, guys, and then hold your hats.
Speaking of Commander,
Oh.
can I jump
Jump.
back here?
Jump it.
You got some restocks in. I saw.
I did.
We got a Korea Commander.
I
decks
do
in.
have Commander 2020, Ikoria Commander, back in stock for at least a little bit.
Yes.
There was a small restock. I don't know exactly how many I'll be able to get. And then Watsy is saying that they will print more of them, but it will be months.
Yeah.
So if you don't get in somewhere on this restock,
Check.
you may be waiting a while. Don't
Yep.
pay exorbitant prices.
No.
They're going to make more, but it might be like Christmas or something.
It might
Things
be.
are really held up, guys.
Yeah.
Things are really held
So
up.
I saw those when I got here tonight. Wanted to let everybody know that those are in.
Yep.
Because I didn't get a chance at them first time around, so
There is one of them that is substantially priced up. My apologies, but when I looked at it, I had to because there's a $30-some card in it.
Fluctuator.
No,
Oh,
it's the free negate.
the free negate. Yeah,
Free negate. If you got your commander out,
yeah.
the blue, it's like a $30+ card.
Jeez.
So, anyway, don't usually like to talk about value, but that's in there and we can't ignore it. So then on Saturday night this week, it is live from Grove Gamers Guild. It's Board Game Saturday night. We are focusing on cooperative games this month. So if you come out, bring your favorite cooperative game.
Yeah. We have several here that you know
Yeah.
obviously.
So bring a cooperative game. That's a game. Should we just fold right into that right
Yeah,
away?
let's just jump right in
Let's just
there.
fold it. So if you're not familiar with cooperative games are where you play against the game.
Right.
So it's not competitive. It's about winning against the game.
Right.
So all players win or lose together. So the game either beats you or you beat the game. And
Some.
you usually join forces against the game itself, and there's nobody playing the opposition or the game
Right.
master in the game. It's just you against the game. The game has a set thing it does or something you're trying to beat it at before it ends, and
Right.
it defeats you. Some of them involve dice or randomization tactics so that the game plays differently every time. Some of them get progressively more difficult. Some of them have unique characters in them so that, you get a little bit of characterization with that.
A good example there, Pandemic, and Matt Leacock really is like the king of these cooperative games that have been popular lately. The Forbidden series, Island and Desert and stuff, and Pandemic are these cooperative games that you can take on individual roles, and so
right, and they're just like the other Euro games. Everybody gets to play till the end.
Yeah.
So you get to play to the end. So it's not like the game killed me and everybody else got to play. No, everybody plays till the end.
Everybody plays together.
Yeah. And you have different responsibilities depending on the players. It incentivizes cooperation. Some of them might have an added layer for like personal win conditions. Gloomhaven is an example.
Yes.
I haven't played myself, but each player, not only do you want to win as a team, but each player has personal goals. Then there's other games that are similar that might have a secret component.
Like Betrayal or something.
Betrayal is kind of like that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking like I think the ones they mention I'm not familiar with. Scotland Yard, Fury of Dracula, but I believe I sell Coup.
Yes.
And I believe Ravnica Inquisition is that way, whereas there's a secret person that you don't know. Sheriff of Nottingham. No, it's not Sheriff of Nottingham. There's another game I have, but they have some type of secret component to them where you're trying to figure out, you don't know who is what.
Yeah, Sheriff of Nottingham is where you lie a lot.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Fun though.
Different kind of deceit. Different kind of deceit. So it's like a traitor game, is what you're talking about with Betrayal. So everybody gets to play, but at some point, a random person
becomes the traitor.
So Betrayal at House on the Hill, or Betrayal at Baldur's Gate if you play the D&D version.
Something will trigger a haunt to start, and then somebody becomes the traitor, and the game plays out differently in that second half of the game.
Right, so I'm getting a little bit of this information from the wiki on it. I'll just be honest. I took a look at the wiki before we got started, and there was a book called Collaborative Games, Lessons Learned from Board Games by Jose P. Zagel and Jochin Rick and Idris Zai. I'm as bad as some other people on pronunciations, I'm sure.
You do fine.
So anyway, some of the things they found. First, the game needs to point out the folly of being competitive by allowing players to make decisions that benefits themselves rather than the whole group.
Right.
So that's a component of a good game. It shouldn't just be everybody taking every turn. Is kind of what we're getting at. Each player needs be able to make decisions on their own.
Right.
Second, each player should not need the input of the rest of the group when making a decision. That follows along.
Right.
Third, players need to be able to identify what actions had benefits or consequences. So if you keep track of what everybody else is doing, you should kind of know what your turn needs to be like when it gets to you. And fourth, the game should reward selfless players by giving players unique roles or traits. So you get a reward by being something unique. In Pandemic, you've got the researcher, the
scientist, medic.
Yeah, so there's different parts, and they have different abilities that will help the group do different things. They also point out challenges in designing collaborative games due to the following pitfalls that have to be overcome.
Yeah.
Game degenerating into a single player decides the actions for everyone. I think I'm getting past this now that I've played Pandemic a little bit.
Right.
But no offense, but Shirley can be that way when she's teaching new people because she's played so much.
Right.
But what she really needs to be doing is guiding everybody to making their own decisions, right? But it's because she's played it so much. But she's a great teacher because she knows how it works. And she can say, this person needs to help this person. And I think I may have played enough now. I'm starting to grab hold of that. For a game to be engaging, players should be invested in the end result, and winning the game should be satisfying. So you need to make sure when you win it, you did.
Yes.
It was. That was good.
That was okay.
Yeah, we beat the game. So what? We beat it every time.
Right.
If you beat it every time, it's not really much of a contest.
No,
right?
it is not. And Pandemic Legacy has been kicking our butt the last couple months. So,
for repeat play, game experience should vary and challenge needs to evolve. Legacy games are a great example of evolving since the game changes as you play it.
Yes.
So those are some things about cooperative games. And I have several. I have Pandemic. I have Castle Panic normally. The Forbidden Islands and stuff.
Yeah, Forbidden Island, Desert. Those are all great.
I just got it in recently, but I believe Black Orchestra is another example of a cooperative game, and I have some others back here. So it's a genre that a lot of people enjoy.
It's a very enjoyable game.
So if you like board games, you need to come out and play board games. I think we've settled into our locals here by now, probably. So that's going on Saturday.
Sentinels of the Multiverse. Is that a game?
Mm-hmm.
Bobby brought it up. It must be a co-op or something.
It's a cooperative game. It got started with a big Kickstarter that he helped fund a few years ago. And it is a big cooperative game. I've never played it.
Right.
But I know he bought sleeves for all the cards, and I'm not going to say how many it was, but it was a bunch.
That's the one that he sleeved up that you were talking about.
It was a bunch, okay? So there are a bunch of them out there. All right, so moving along, we're going to make an announcement because Wizards made an announcement.
They did make an announcement.
About announcing a BNR update on Monday.
Yeah.
They've been doing this recently.
Yeah, the
gonna
last
hit
couple.
Historic, Pioneer, Modern, and Pauper. So Standard safe. Legacy Vintage safe.
Man, I've heard some. I know it's not a.
So it's not like one card through all those formats, I don't think.
Probably not.
Arkham's Astrolabe.
Right.
Astrolabe could hit all those, I think.
Not Pioneer.
It's already banned in Pauper, isn't it?
Yeah, and it couldn't hit Pioneer.
Oh, yeah, so I don't think there's one. There's going to be multiple cards here.
I do think that probably is what's getting banned in Modern.
Possibly, yes.
Now, I know I've seen online some Legacy players upset that they're not taking it out of Legacy, but then I hear some people saying that if you look at the latest Legacy challenges, that the snow decks aren't ruling the top 8s anymore. So I don't know enough about Legacy to say, but I just...
Nor do I. I don't follow it that close.
I know that it was causing some major problems in Legacy at one point, but now it doesn't look like that's getting hit now. So
from what little I looked up, Pioneer's been taking a big hit, and Inverter and Lotus Field might be on the chopping block because those decks are very impressive and getting a lot of play. And I think Pioneer has suffered from no paper.
Pioneer, I was about to say,
suffered from no paper, guys.
I want to stand on my soapbox about Pioneer for just a moment because I loved Pioneer when we got to play it. No paper is killing it. That and the other thing, from what I hear, for people that play a lot of more Magic Online, so they have the ability to still play a lot of Pioneer. A lot of them, and I can kind of see it because even once it stopped, after we got past the first of the year and it stopped, we saw it happen. Kind of wish WotC would have continued curating that format longer than what they did because it seems like once they stop, it became Inverter and Breach then, and it has been since. And I know the death of Paper Magic, not the death, but the suspension of Paper Magic for now has really hurt Pioneer, but it feels like they were keeping that format from becoming that, and then they stopped.
The C word has really hurt Pioneer.
Yeah.
So not only the oppression of the decks that are running the format,
right,
but the fact that there's no paper, and that because of that, a lot of people are going to Arena. You can't play Pioneer on Arena. Yep. And I heard because I don't play the digital, guys.
Right.
But I've heard that the challenges that they have on Magic Online haven't been firing.
Yes, they have not.
So, yes, they have not.
They have not been firing, which is
a single negative, but you used a positive in there. So. But anyway, so that's a thing.
Yeah.
So I really hope something can be done.
I do as well.
I'm going to fold in the fact that we just got word earlier today that WotC has officially suspended organized play in North America and Latin America through the pre-release of Zendikar Rising. Yeah. Zendikar Rising will only be an at-home pre-release announced as such. Those places that are able to run it will be able to run it, but it won't be
sanctioned.
It won't be sanctioned. It won't go in as true organized play. And really that doesn't affect you much, but what it does is it puts people on a level, it puts stores on a more level field.
Right.
I mean, currently I'm able to run events. Legally and all that by the state of Missouri, I can run events. I can have people in my store. Whether that'll change by the time Zendikar Rising gets here, I don't know. But a lot of places are not able to. And so having it to where nobody can run true organized play.
Right. It's
At least the way I understand it, I should still be able to run casual play if I want.
right.
Just not organized play. I won't be reporting it to WotC.
Right.
So that did just come in today, late today, actually.
Late today, yeah. I hadn't seen that. He had just told me about that before we started doing chatter.
So that's going on. I also wanted to make an announcement that for my locals here, that coming up to the middle to the end of August, I'm going to do my very first paint intake. So WizKids are making a Manticore figure that comes with everything you need to paint it. It comes with the paints, comes with the brushes, everything. I'm going to be getting a hold of some of those. I'm going to run a paint intake here in the store. Hopefully some of you, I know I've had a lot more people getting interested in it lately. Been trying to carry more of the Nulzer's Marvelous Pigments figures. So if you're interested in that, please stay tuned. I'll be posting that up in the next week or two when I firm up the dates on it, because I don't know exactly when I'll get those in. I've also been looking at putting in some Games Workshop material. So that would be a line of paints and brushes and Warhammer material. So be watching for that for my locals as well. We want to talk a little bit about this article that came out this week.
Yeah, the Future Magic.
The Future of Magic, Mark Rosewater. We do Reblogatog.
Yes.
Be sure and check that out. Alan posted up a couple episodes we got behind. Posted up a couple of those where we go over the stuff that Mark Rosewater, head designer at R&D for Wizards of the Coast, talks about making magic. He writes an article every week.
Every Monday.
Called Making Magic. And so this week he talked about the future of magic. Now, he didn't really give us any deep insights into what's coming, like, hey, in the next set, here's this thing. But he talks about how they go about thinking about what goes in to the sets.
Right. He talks about
existing mechanics.
Right.
So they take existing mechanics that people like and they do something new with them.
Right.
So like Proliferate
is a great example.
And War of the Sparks with the Planeswalkers is a great example of doing something, because the first time Proliferate came around, it was with -1/-1 counters.
And infect.
Right. So they used this ability and they did it so that, these Planeswalkers that didn't have any pluses,
right,
you could keep them around with Proliferate and keep using their abilities.
Made the mechanic feel much different from being a destructive to more of a constructive mechanic.
Right. So we took an existing thing, used it differently. That's something he's always looking into when they do new worlds and stuff. Rehabilitating failed mechanics.
Yeah.
His most successful one of these that he likes to talk about is Chroma.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't familiar with Chroma, no. It's what came before Devotion.
Yes.
It's how they created Devotion. Chroma was failed. People didn't like it.
Yeah. Fifth Dawn, I think. It was a Mirrodin block. I think it was Fifth Dawn.
It's back there's a way.
Yeah.
It didn't go over, and so they reworked it, used it for Devotion for the gods, and success.
Theros was a big success, yeah.
He talks about new frames, how the new frames, one of the most popular ones for a long time was the split frame.
Yeah.
Split cards. In fact, I just played my new Ampersand deck tonight that has a bunch of and stuff in it, okay? So that was a popular frame. The adventure frames.
The adventure frame is probably
from Throne of Eldraine. I mean, instead of just making it a split card, they did something new.
Yeah.
They made the frame differently. You get two uses out of that one card.
Yeah.
It's a very sweet deal. I mean, if you look at the stargazing thing from Theros Gods, some of the stuff they're putting in collector boosters.
Sagas are another great example of a new frame to give us new technology, essentially.
Absolutely. And if you played Unstable, then they did some stuff in all the unsets, really. They do something with the frames. So they're always looking at ways they can use the frames. Double face cards. If you're really old, you remember the flip cards.
Yeah, out of Kamigawa.
And we talk a little bit about them on Reblogatog all the time because people want them to remake the flip cards into double face cards. Well, they work differently. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's not how it works.
And people want flip cards back, and it's like,
Nobody liked them the first
time. In fact,
time,
we've got one this week on that.
I saw.
Yeah.
They were not very popular.
Double face cards have a lot of design space. Mark Rosewater talks about how there's lots of things they can do. Any kind of transformation effect.
Yeah.
Man, the lands that we got in Ixalan were just fantastic.
I mean, it was yes. I mean, I think the way they used them for werewolves, thematic. Man, those lands. Agree. That just shows the potential of where they can take double face cards in the future to me.
Tons of cool things they can do. Punch out. Started those with Almond Cat. We had those in our Ixalan.
-1 counters.
Yeah, the brick counters and the exerted and bombed and so forth.
Yeah.
And then we got some more
with the Coria.
With the flying, the keywords, the
keyword counters.
The keyword counters. So that's something they're looking at doing, being able to use that punch out technology to help gameplay along.
Yeah.
How can they do that? What can they use that for? How can they make that work? Another area. You get something more on that?
I kind of agree with, like I said, I was listening with Evan Irwin. I like it. And I also almost don't like it because, like you said, it makes the game more complicated in a way when we have these punch outs. Because if you don't have those punch outs, it gets harder to play a game. He says that really stuck with me because I remember all you need is a deck and a friend, kind of thing, Yeah,
but and you still can.
But they've I don't mind the raising of the complexity of Magic, but now we have to have a lot of extra pieces. I still don't mind it, but it is like. Is it something that's going to keep going to where that complexity going too many pieces?
When you're talking about 20,000 cards, 25,000 cards, 30,000 cards, yes, it's going to get more for commander players especially.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's nice for draft. It makes it easy. You can draft, but man, commander especially. You start needing to put a lot of stuff in with your commander deck. Well, I got to have the keyword counters and the tokens. And
all you really need is the dry erase tokens that I sell.
There we go.
That's all you really need.
They are great.
Chris was playing with Mirrorworks.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier. And I've pulled them out of my decks, but with the new dry erase tokens that I've got, it's still a lot of work.
It's still a lot of work.
But much easier because before I hated playing with it because this six-sider is a copy of this artifact, and this one is that. Yeah, not good. Moving along, cards that can't go in your deck. So there was a failed mechanic back in Avacyn Restored that they didn't use called Forbidden.
Yeah.
And there were cards that you put in your deck that allowed you to shuffle forbidden cards into your deck. They ended up not going with it, but basically it's a big hoop to jump through, so you have to have a card in your deck that lets you go get the forbidden card to shuffle it into your deck, and then you still have to draw it or tutor for it. It's a lot of hoops to jump through. So there was pretty good payoff in it, but they haven't really nailed that down to where it works. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know I wasn't playing during the time period, but I've seen where they've tried that go for the fences mechanic a couple times before. The one that always stands out in my mind is Epic, where it feels like they were trying to go for the fences, but I still don't think they made the cards powerful enough for what you had to do.
Yeah, no, I don't think we'll get... No, and nobody wants to quit playing spells.
Magic, right.
You quit playing Magic, it just... Now it's on autopilot,
Yeah.
Now it's maybe in a multiplayer, you just have that going, and there's everybody's cooperating to beat it up,
Right, it's forbidden. So it's like... I hope they do a better job with this than they did with something like that, because it very much feels like we're going to give you super powerful cards, but here's the catch,
Exactly. So another thing they look at is card components outside the deck. The thing you're most familiar with would be emblems for Planeswalkers. If you've played a little bit of Commander or Conspiracy, you might be familiar with Monarch. And of course, City's Blessing is also...
City's Blessing is a great example.
Also a kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
It's a thing that gets created. It's
essentially
outside.
An emblem.
You can't do anything about it. It's there. It's set in.
Yeah.
So those are some really neat things.
Yeah. I still feel like we are seeing an ability to mess with emblems, to interact with them. I still believe it's coming.
It's on discussions anymore. It used to not even be discussed. Another thing that they look at is additional decks. Is there
Right.
something they can do? Now, they tried this in Unstable.
We had contraptions.
Contraptions.
The contraption deck, it was a cool concept. I remember one Unstable draft where I played every card I drafted because of contraptions.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool.
So I don't know what kind of technology they could do with that, but it's something they always have in the back of their mind
Right.
thinking about. Can we use an extra deck mechanic to do something? We're not there yet in Black
No.
Border. Mini games. Now, mini games aren't sub games.
No.
But again, they've done this in the silver bordered
Board
stuff.
stuff.
So like Hangman is probably the best example of it,
Right.
where you play a side game of Hangman.
One that's actually been getting play around here, Enter the Dungeon.
Well, that's a sub game.
That's a sub game. Okay, I apologize.
So I mean, you can include that in that, but I think he's really, because those are banned in Black Border anyway,
Right.
Shahrazad. But something like Hangman is something they're really looking at, I think.
Was it War of the Spark, I believe, where they were working on some kind of big game mechanic that involved a mini game? Something about moving your armies forward and stuff, and it had massive effects on the game outside of...
It could have been that sometimes he mentions what they looked at and then didn't do, you know?
I believe I remember something about that with War of the Spark, where there was a mini game in the game that had to do with the war, and things you did could advance and change some kind of effect. Because
Well, it says War of the Spark played around with a
Okay.
mechanic called Skirmish,
Skirmish.
where how you succeeded in combat impacted how a separate minigame was playing out. This is a good example how the external component and the minigame can intersect.
Okay, I just remember around War of the Spark, we either on Blogatog or something, we talked about it.
Yeah. And then I think this is the last one. Well, it's not exactly the last one, but affecting deck construction. So the companions are an example of this.
Yeah.
And yes, they're a failed experiment,
Yes.
but it gave them valuable data
It did.
going forward. So something to do with deck construction, having to construct your deck in a certain way to gain a certain benefit. So we'll see as we move forward how they try to re-implement that. The final category consists of designs where you take your theme and push it to an extreme. These are top-down designs.
Right.
Breaking some set rules for the game. It's harder to quantify, but it's something I always look out for when we're figuring out a new thing.
Right. Like Theros is a recent very good example of top-down. Greek. One of the Greek world top-down design. We got a Greek world.
Yeah, he says it is a category that he's printed any cards with yet, but he always looks at it. So always trying to push the envelope,
Right.
and I think it's always better for them to push the envelope than to just play it safe.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, we
we
want to
have our
have exciting things,
Right.
not just, oh, it's another set.
Right.
Yay.
Sometimes they push too far, but then they correct it. They ban cards. They change the mechanic. They have done that now.
Yep.
It's,
Ban it, pull back. You
Yep.
know, whatever needs to be done.
but it was a very interesting article.
Check it out, Making Magic. It was this week's
Right.
Making Magic on the mothership. Go check it out if you want to read the whole thing.
And then I
we
now-
kind of summated it here.
I now don't remember, but I had a couple things I had extrapolated from that article, some predictions I was going to make that now aren't coming to me.
Predictions. Oh, we're not up to predictions. All right, so we're going to go over some of the Jumpstart stuff.
Oh, yeah, the new Jumpstart cards.
The new Jumpstart cards.
There are 37, I believe.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can hit real quick the lands, which are
Right.
pretty easy because it's a cycle.
Right.
They're the thriving lands that all come in and produce one color,
Right.
and you name a second color.
And they tap for that as well.
So it's very, very nice,
Yeah.
common dual lands to
Yeah.
put in.
These will
They
be-
do come in tap, but you get to choose what that other color is going to be.
That's fantastic, yeah.
So that's a set of 5 of those. And I guess we could hit the one artifact real quick.
Yeah, the Lightning Core Extractor. It's an 03 Golem. Excavator. Oh, man.
My son can't read.
I can't. It's an 03 Golem artifact creature for 1 generic mana. But you can pay 5, tap, and sacrifice it to deal 3 damage to any target.
It's an early blocker, and later in you can cash it out to take
Bolt.
something out.
To bolt something. 5 mana bolts.
Yeah, you can bolt somebody with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is any
6
target.
mana, you got the initial
Yeah.
investment. So, All right, so let's take a look. We'll start in Wooburg order since we knocked those out.
Oh, yeah.
We got Blessed Sanctuary, which is 2 white and 3 enchantment. It is non-combat damage that will be dealt to you and creatures you control.
Yep.
Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 white unicorn creature token.
This is out of the unicorn deck.
This is good for the unicorn deck. This is good. This is good.
Commander card, yeah.
This is going to be exciting to play, I think. White has a lot of nice enchantments that it can rack up into a deck and play around it, you know.
Well, I mean, you slap this in with like an Oketra deck. If you're playing mono white, Oketra's making a 4/4 whenever you cast a creature. This is making a 2/2.
Oh, yeah. You're just talking value on top of value once you get going with this thing. Sure, yeah.
Brightmare. This is a cool card.
It's a little uncommon. Yeah. White and 2, 2/3. Enters the battlefield, tap up to 1 target creature, and you gain life equal to that creature's power. And it's a unicorn.
It's a 2/3 for 3. That's pretty sweet ability, I think, actually.
It's not too shabby. And of course we got the Unicorn Lord.
Oh yeah.
Emil the Blessed, 2 white and 2. He's a legendary creature unicorn. 4/4. For 3 mana, exile another target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Got a built-in blink. You gotta like that.
Yeah.
Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay
Hybrid Selesnya.
Hybrid Selesnya. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If it's a unicorn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it instead.
Oh yeah.
So good in anything, but if you're gonna build unicorns, you gots to have it.
Gots to have it.
And
with this, with Jumpstart, they may have given us enough unicorns to make it, close to being able to play.
Yeah, and they made it Selesnya because there are some green unicorns.
Yeah, there's some Selesnya ones too.
So, and Jumpstart is coming out next week. Now, just before my local, I got a couple of pre-orders, and then I'll have enough to run the launch event.
Right.
I will not have any boxes for sale next week.
I will
not have any boxes for sale. I don't have enough product for that. I want to be able to run all the people who come in and want to play in an event to get a couple packs. I want to do that.
I do just want to put out there something I saw. I don't know if you saw. I didn't see how old it was. That Marrow, I believe even Marrow had said, Jumpstart is not a limited print run product though.
It's not. If there's enough demand for it, it can trigger a reprint.
It will
Doesn't
be
mean it stays in print. Just means it can trigger a reprint.
They say it will be print on demand while it's in whatever, but that COVID hurt the quantity at the beginning.
Unlike Double Masters, which is not.
Right. Yeah,
okay?
that's not going to be print
they
demand.
make one print and then done.
Yes. Release the dogs.
Release the dogs. A white and 3. It's a sorcery. Create 4/1/1 white dog creature tokens.
Good.
That's pretty good. It's a 4 mana.
4 tokens.
You'd like it to be an instant, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But 4/1/1 dog creatures. Yeah, I mean
4/1/1s for 4 is pretty good rate, really, because sometimes you'll pay 3 for 2 or something like that. So.
Yeah. Put that in your dog deck.
Oh yeah. Build my whole pet store deck eventually. We got a Steel Plume Marshal.
Excuse me.
2 white and 3 for a 3/3 bird soldier. It has flying. And whenever Steel Plume Marshal attacks, other attacking creatures you control with flying get +2/+2 until end of turn. That's pretty nice, actually.
Man, there is a lot of stuff being done for flying decks lately.
Yeah.
So maybe if you just want to do a flying deck, you probably just rock your way through a commander pod.
Oh, yeah.
If you just made a flying only
Azorius,
deck.
Flyers.
That just scares me to think about. I don't think I play enough Wrath of Gods in my decks to handle that.
They get Archetype of Imagination. Is that the flying one out? And then just everything's ruined.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, we got a Stone Haven Pilgrim here. It's a bear, essentially. It's a white and 1 for a 2/2 core cleric.
It's a core.
Yeah, we haven't seen core in a while.
Yeah.
Whenever Stonehaven Pilgrim attacks, if you control an artifact or an enchantment, Stonehaven Pilgrim gets +1/+1 and gains lifelink until end of turn.
A bear with upside.
Bear with upside. We get a lot of those these days, but I'm not going to complain about bears with upside. We got Supply Runners. They are way more expensive than a bear. They're a white and 4 for a 2/2 dog. But when supply runners enters the battlefield, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. So, pretty good.
Nice ability. And we wrap up the doggos with a white and 3, 2/3 dog. When Trusty Retriever enters the battlefield, choose one. Put a +1/+1 counter on Trusty Retriever. Or return target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand.
Awesome. I love the dogs.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to go through all these at the
That's fair.
So, Archaeomender is a blue and 2 for a 2/3. Human Wizard, when it enters the battlefield, return an artifact card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's hit the top.
Mythic, we have Bruvac, the Grandiloquent. Grandiloquent?
I think Grandiloquent.
Grandiloquent. I like Grandiloquent, but Grandiloquent. He's a blue and 2 for a 1/4 legendary human advisor. So he can head up your persistent petitioner's
I need
deck.
this guy.
If an opponent would, he definitely should be heading up your persistent petitioner's deck. Now that I start to read him, if an opponent would mill 1 or more cards, they mill twice that many cards instead.
See, this is one of those little things that WotC does, and we don't always pick up on. It's an advisor.
Yeah, he's the
Petitioners
commander.
are advisors.
They care about advisors.
They care about advisors.
Yes.
And he's an advisor. They catch these things.
And by the way, I just noticed the flavor text on this guy. It's just ... and furthermore ...
Yes.
Oh.
So very good. There's a rare Corsair Captain.
This
blue
guy's from
2,
Arcadia.
2/2 human pirate. When he enters the battlefield, create a treasure token.
And
other pirates get +1/+1.
Another pirate lord, which is great to have. I have a pirate deck, and it kind of sucks. I'm happy to see him print some more pirates. We have Ineos, the Gale Force. It's a 4/4 legendary Djinn for 2 blue and 3. It has flying, and for 2 generic and a Azorius hybrid, attacking creatures with flying get +1/+1 until end of turn. That's pretty good.
Some more flying stuff.
And whenever 3 or more creatures you control with flying attack, each player gains control of a non-land permanent of your choice, controlled by the player to their right.
Sleeve your cards.
Oh, Lord.
Don't play in a pod that somebody's using the same sleeves as you.
Hey, everybody, stop buying just black sleeves, okay?
Man, blue got almost all rares and stuff here. Do you
Yeah,
notice
I'm
this?
noticing this.
Ormos Archive Keeper is a legendary Sphinx, 2 blue and 4 for a 5/5 flyer. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, instead put 5 +1/+1 counters on Ormos. For 2 blue and 1, you discard 3 cards with different names and draw 5 cards. Is this not a commander card?
Oh, my...
Discard 3 cards with different names to draw 5 cards. And 3 minutes. How? This... Hey, what?
I want to build that deck now. We got Scholar of the Lost Trove as well.
Another rare. Every card except Archaeomender is a rare or a mythic in blue.
This was the buy a box, or what are the release?
This is the launch promo. It's
launch.
a buy a box / launch promo. If you come out and play on launch day,
you get one of these. Okay.
While supplies last.
It's also a Sphinx. It is 2 blue for a 5/5 Sphinx. Scholar of the Lost Trove is its name. It's a flyer, obviously. And when Scholar of the Lost Trove enters the battlefield, you may cast target instant, sorcery, or artifact card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If an instant or sorcery spell was cast this way, that would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead.
That's just crazy. All those are rares. Okay. It's blue. Blue gets stuff.
Blue gets stuff.
Blue's special.
Yeah.
Blue's special.
Oh,
they need the help.
Black doesn't get hardly anything.
Black got 4 cards.
Yeah, I'm noticing that.
Yeah, but it got some things.
Yeah, I was ready to say.
So it got Kel's Fight Fixer. 2 black and 2. It's a 4/3 legendary creature, Azra Warlock. What the frick is an Azra? All right.
I think maybe they were on in Battle Bond, possibly. Fight Fixer. I think they were.
It has menace, and whenever you sacrifice a creature, you may pay Hybrid Dimir. If you do, draw a card. For 1 mana, you can sacrifice a creature, and Kel's Fight Fixer gains indestructible till end of turn. So that's a rare. Mm-hmm. Then you get Nocturnal Feeder. It's just a little 2/1, 3 mana flying that when it dies, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. You want to talk about him?
Yeah. Then we get Tiny Bones.
It's a great name.
Tiny Bones, the Trinket Thief. He is a legendary skeleton rogue. He's a black and 1 for a 1/2. And at the beginning of each instep, if an opponent discarded a card this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And for 4 generic and 2 black, each opponent with no cards in their hand loses 10 life. Oh, I didn't know if I ever wanted to build a discard deck because it makes people hate you, but I want to play Tiny Bones.
I don't know. This scares me because people didn't like it when I built Shuri and I put discard in there and I had their hands emptied pretty quick. People got mad, and I don't blame them.
I don't either. It's Tiny. How can you be mad at Tiny Bones? Did you see him?
Whatever. Witch of the Moors, 2 black and 3. It's a 4/4 human warlock with Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, each opponent sacrifices a creature, and you return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Red got a big list of stuff here. I don't know if any of it's any good, but
yeah. So it got Chained Brood. It's an uncommon.
Yeah.
Red and 1, 4/3. Well, that sounds good.
That sounds good.
Doesn't untap during your untap step. That sounds bad.
That sounds bad, yeah.
For 1 mana, you sacrifice another creature to untap Chained Brood, and you can only activate this ability during your turn. It's a sack outlet.
It's a sack. And it's a devil.
And it's a devil. So
you got a soft spot, I know.
Yeah, I kind of want to build devils now.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And a mythic.
We got a mythic emulating Gyre. For 4 generic and 2 red. It's a sorcery. And it deals X damage to each creature and planeswalker you don't control, where X is the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Oh my bejesus.
Another payoff for the Izzet mages.
Yeah. Oh my lord.
We will be busting some packs at the end tonight, guys. We've got another dozen cards maybe.
Yeah.
Less than a dozen, I think. Lightning Phoenix, which is a rare, blue and 2. It's a 2/2 flying haste Phoenix.
Right.
The name told you. It can't block. Why would it want to?
All right. It's got haste.
At the beginning of your end step, if an opponent was dealt 3 or more damage this turn, you may pay a red.
Red. 1 red.
If you do, return Lightning Phoenix from the graveyard to the battlefield.
I bolt somebody and I get a Phoenix back for another red? That's cool.
Little prowess guy, red and 1, 2/1 with prowess. Yeah. It's a Minotaur for the Minotaur deck.
Minotaur deck.
There is a bunch of stuff with lightning in its name.
There is a lightning deck.
Yeah.
So we got Living Lightning, which I can't believe there wasn't a card called Living Lightning, actually. It's kind of surprising. It's a red and 3 for a 3/2 elemental shaman, and when it dies, you get to return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand.
More Izzet mage goodness.
Right.
You want to do the Goblin Noble?
Muxus, Goblin Grandee. This guy, this is one of the biggest goblins out there. I'm going to tell you, by the way. He's 2 red
for the big ones too.
He's 2 red and 4 for a 4/4. He's a legendary Goblin Noble. I don't know if we have any other noble goblins out there.
Squeeze should be.
Fair. When Muxus Goblin Grandee enters the battlefield, reveal the top 6 cards of your library. Put all goblin creature cards with converted mana cost 5 or less from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Also, whenever Muxus attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other goblin you control.
There's not many goblins you don't get with that. There's not many you don't get. Then we got Sethron, Hurloon General, 2 red and 3. He's a 4/4 Minotaur Warrior, legendary. So here's your Lord for your Minotaur deck. Whenever Sethron, Hurloon General, or another non-token Minotaur enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/3 Minotaur creature token. And then for 2 generic and a hybrid Rakdos, Minotaurs you control get +1/+0 and gain menace and haste till end of turn. Excuse me.
I know you're not on Reddit, so you may not know about the Minotaur guy. He does a Minotaur set review for every new set that comes out, and he is very happy. I'm just going to say.
I'll bet he would be, sure.
We have Spiteful Prankster, another devil.
Yep.
It's a 3/2 for a red and 2, and as long as it's your turn, Spiteful Prankster has first strike. And whenever another creature dies, Spiteful Prankster deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. Man, they just love...
He goes in the devil deck.
They love feeding that Rakdos Sacrifice archetype, don't they?
And then we got our Devil Lord.
Yep.
So his name is Zerzoth, Chaos Rider.
Yeah.
For a red and 2, he's a 2/3, legendary. Whenever an opponent draws their first card each turn, if it's not their turn, you create a 1/1 red devil creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. Whenever one or more devils you control attack one or more players, you and those players each draw a card, then discard a card at random. I love it. It just keeps going.
It sounds fun.
It just keeps going. You need to protect him, but it just keeps going.
It keeps getting better, right?
I like that. So yeah. And then we got green. So we got
green only got 4 cards.
4 cards left.
Green and black got a little, not as much. This one
did get a mythic.
This mythic's pretty awesome. It's the Allosaurus Shepherd. It's 1 green for a 1/1 elf shaman. Allosaurus Shepherd can't be countered. Green spells you control can't be countered. Wow, this seems really good already.
I like it.
For 4 generic and 2 green, until end of turn, each elf creature you control has base power and toughness 5/5, and becomes a dinosaur in addition to its other creature types.
Well, I hadn't wanted to build an elf dinosaur deck, but maybe I do now.
Yeah.
I guess my elf deck just becomes a dinosaur deck.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to now.
I have an elf deck, and this should go in there. So, Branching Evolution is a green and 2. It is an enchantment, and it says if 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, twice that many +1/+1 counters are put on that creature instead. So
Double up.
doubling season for creatures.
Yeah, for +1/+1 counters.
For +1/+1 counters, yeah. So pretty nice. That's a rare. Naeth of the Dire Hunt, 2 green and 2, 3/3. It's a legendary human warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever 1 or more creatures you control fight or become blocked, draw a card. So this is your fight general right here. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 2 mana and generic Grull, or 2 generic mana and hybrid Grull. If you do, double target creature's power until end of turn. That creature must be blocked this combat if able.
I like.
And we'll end with a mythic.
Another mythic. So they got 2 mythics.
Yeah.
Towering Titan. This is 2 green and 4 generic for a 0/0 giant. It just comes in, dies. I don't know why it's a mythic. No.
Read some text, man.
Towering Titan enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the total toughness of other creatures you control. Where X is the total toughness of other creatures you control. I just wanted to repeat that part.
And it's counters.
It's counters. Yeah. Sacrifice a creature with Defender. All creatures gain trample until end of turn. Oh my Jesus.
Total toughness of other creatures. So you can play a wall deck.
Yeah.
Throw this in, make it really big, sack one of them to give it trample. Yeah.
But all creatures get trampled.
It does, but if you're playing a wall deck, it wouldn't do you a lot of good.
That's fair. That's good. It's good stuff.
Anyway, guys, that's the new stuff. We may hit some of the reprints next week as we lead up to the actual release of it. Right now, we're going to crack those packs for tomorrow night's Friday Night Magic.
Yep.
And so if you guys want to take a look at those, we are getting ready for that.
I'll slide on over.
All right. I will move the pegs. Or what? I don't know. There's no pegs. I don't know what we're talking about here. Pegs. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying words.
Are you drinking before the show again?
No. I always drink after.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. We'll start with these regulars. First pack. Let's see what mythic we can pull here. We're pulling a mythic in the first pack, I decided.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. Nope, that's right. Flip them over. Rune.
If you can just decide that, why don't you do it all the time?
Hello. We got a Llanowar Visionary. And Jace's Sanctum. No mythics. But
So
they're...
you lied.
Yep.
You just flat out lied.
Well, I felt it, and then you destroyed the vibe.
Yeah. I destroyed the
Oh, there's a
vibe.
mythic. There's an Ugin.
Hey, you're off by 1. Okay.
Frantic Inventory. And a Lotus Field.
Ooh. Shiny. Oh, that's not shiny.
It's not a shiny, no.
No.
We're not to the shinies yet.
We're not to the shinies yet. I'm getting ahead of myself.
I do have a foil promo Lotus Field somewhere, though.
Yeah.
It's shiny. It's pretty. Baneslayer Angel. There's another mythic, guys. Just that first pack missing on the mythic so far. We got Eliminate and a Ley Line of Anticipation. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right. Whop. That's a Temple of Triumph. That is our Boros Temple. They got reprinted in M21. Selfless Savior. And a Deputy of Detention. No, I don't see that card much anymore, thankfully.
It's a lot of cards to play. Close to rotating.
Mm-hmm. We're at Giant Standard right now. Mega Standard. Heroic Intervention. I mean, that's good stuff right there. Heartfire Immolator. I don't even know if I've pulled one of these out of all these packs I've opened. An Experimental Frenzy, guys. That still hasn't rotated yet. Red card advantage.
Potentially. If you don't whiff. Draw a card, hit a land, draw a card, hit a land.
Ooh, Rada. Heart of the Keld. She might be a fun commander. Frantic Inventory. And Thassa's Intervention, guys. That is our normal ones.
Now the shinies.
Now we'll get to the shiny promo packs.
Show me the shiny. Is there a mythic in this one?
No, probably the next one, I think.
I think there's one in this one. See, I'll go out on a limb.
A Hooded Blightfang. That's cool in foil. That artwork looks good. Eliminate. And all Harvest Season.
Oh, I was wrong too. Shucks. Random guessing. Who would have thunk it? I thought it'd be more accurate than that.
My father, always the optimist.
Yes.
It's what we know him for around here. And last pack, there's our mythic. Discontinuity. Told you it was in this.
Wow, you're hitting 50% like coin flips.
Llanowar Visionary. Hey, there's a Shockland, guys.
Nice.
Sacred Foundry to end it all off.
Nice looking stuff available tomorrow night at F&M. Come out for some standard. And of course, always come out to Grove Gamers Guild.
Where everybody knows your game.